Tekking enraged tumble. Roar, I'm mad. Pen. Bottle cap. Bottle! Oh, okay, I'm not going to throw that. This is filled with water, and I'm not going to get that all over the desk. I mean, that gets in the computer equipment, and I got to dry it all off, and that's just not good for anybody. What else can we destroy? Roar, I'm angry! Roar, beware my power! Okay, so that's all I got in the tank, sorry. Hey everybody, how you doing? Tekking101. I gotta fix that pillow. That's gonna cause me. That's gonna cause me problems today. And I gotta move that lamp back. Okay, hold on. All right. You know what? Okay, fire flower. All right, you're good. Okay, that's set. All right, okay. All right, so we're almost at the end of these. We got 3 Espada left. Well, 2 if you don't want to count Loopy, which if you don't want to count Loopy, that's fine with me. I don't give a crap. All right, so the way that I've been doing it is like popular Espada, less popular Espada, popular Espada, less popular Espada. And so since we only have 3 left, I think it would be prudent to go through Yammy, sorry, give me a second, I'll correct that in a moment, and then Silaporo, which it seems like out of the 3, he's the most popular, and then after that, Loopy will end us out, you know, okay. So, speaking of that is something that I've noticed I've been doing, but no one's really, in a big way, corrected me on it, so I just kept doing it, even though I know it's inaccurate. His name is actually not Yammy. This is Yammy. Okay, this is a Yammy. Also, this could be a Yammy. Not really a Yammy, he's an attempt, but he's a Yammy. This is a Yammy right here. Yammy. Okay, so I will probably be mispronouncing that and switching back and forth between the 2 throughout the entire video. But yeah, he's Yammy Llargo, Espada number 10, but also Espada number 0. How does that work? Well, stick around to find out, alright? Because honestly, it might be a teensy bit of a retcon on Kubo's part. Alright, so Yammy was actually one of the very first Espada to appear in the entire story. He was the one that actually showcased the immense power of the Espada. Him and Ukiura landed in the world of the living, you know, just to kind of scout it out to see what this Ichigo Kurosaki kid that, you know, attacked Aizen and learned Bankai so quickly. Also, we later find out in the story, Aizen had a big role to play in the creation of Ichigo and his powers and everything, involving his mom and his dad. So you could see why Aizen took some interest in the kid. So he's like, yeah, Ukiura, Yammy, you guys head down to the world of the living, see what's going on with that kid. So they land down there, kind of reminiscent of Vegeta and Nappa arriving in Dragon Ball. They land in the middle of a giant crater. One's smaller, but obviously way stronger, and then one's like a big muscle head. Like, yeah, I'm gonna destroy everything. Gadoosh! Yes, Yammy, you're very muscular and strong, that's right. By the way, can you heal your wounds if you get your arm ripped off? Well, Ukiura, I'm not really sure, you know? So anyway, that probably won't come up at all during this incursion, absolutely not. So, we get to see some scenes with Orihime and Chad arriving to try to deal with them first. Yammy pretty much just walks through those guys. Chad gets really screwed over in that fight. In the anime, it was toned down a lot, but in the manga, he like just goes charging full force at Yammy to like, Orihime, get back! Heal Tatsuki! I got this one! He gets his arm, like, just shredded by Yammy. It just gets broken like compound fracture from like 5 different points. He gets jacked up, alright? It's kind of sad that Chad isn't much of a Chad in this series, right? Yeah, okay. So, Chad gets dropped. Ichigo eventually shows up. He's in his Bankai. He's ready to go. And for a little while there, he kicks Yammy's ass. Like, it was pretty much, like, not even really a challenge for him. Then Ichigo's Hollow form gets involved, and, you know, Ichigo's Hollow's kind of, like, playing the role of, like, a little child with, like, well, if you're not going to pay attention to me, then I'm just going to throw a tantrum and turn off all of your motor functions. What's that? Aw, shit. God, you're strong. Okay, stop, please. That was a pretty rough scene watching that. Also, I mean, like, okay, in the anime, we just got done with the Bount arc, okay? We had, like, 50 damn episodes of a filler. But you gotta look at this in the context of the manga, alright? This was right after the Soul Society arc concluded, okay? Right after Ichigo spent chapter upon chapter learning his Bankai and then finally confronting Byakuya at Sokyoku Hill, and it's like, Bankai, Tensa Zangetsu! It's like, whoa, that's Ichigo's Bankai, that's so cool! And he's zipping flipping around and he's doing hollow powers and Black gets a Gatenshos. That's really awesome, right? Yeah, we had that scene with Aizen where he just stopped it with a finger, but he's Aizen. I mean, what do you want, right? But now we get Ichigo, like, okay, this is Ichigo's Bankai against an Espada. We don't even know they're Espada yet, but against this really strong hollow, let's see what's gonna happen, right? And he's kicking ass, and then after his hollow gets involved, Yammy just, ho, boom, boom, and just, Ichigo's on the ground, spitting blood, and he's like, oh god, please stop, please. And so, yeah, he probably gets his back broken. He just, so many things get broken, right? And if it wasn't for Uehara and Yoruichi showing up at that exact moment, yeah, Ichigo would have been screwed. All the while, Ukiura's in the background, and Ukiura's just like, this is quite interesting, yes, at its lowest, his spiritual pressure is really nothing to write home about, but it's like fluctuating wildly. It's all over the place, and at its peak, it's even higher than my own. This is a very interesting child, yes. Now, Yammy doesn't really pay much attention to that stuff. He's just focusing on beating down Ichigo. Uehara shows up and blocks him, and then Yoruichi starts doing some Hakuda crap all over Yammy. Even in that case, so even Yoruichi, goddess of the Flash and master of hand-to-hand combat, still gets pretty injured with that steel skin technique, right? But, she manages to beat down Yammy pretty bad. Ukiura then gets involved because if not, Yammy probably would have died. But Ichigo did manage to slice off his arm, so that was something. Okay, he sliced off an arm. Good job, alright. And then he got the crap beat out of him, alright? But that wasn't really Ichigo's fault, okay? And if the battle would have continued, well, we don't really know what would have happened now, do we? I think actually right before Uehara showed up, or right before Ichigo's hollow took over, and the fight, shifted in a big way, Yammy was about to release his sword. He was pulling out his Zanpakuto, and he didn't release it, but Ukiura was just kind of like, really, Yammy? You're going to use your Zanpakuto for this kid? He's like, shut up, Ukiura! He ripped off my damn arm! And then that's when the motor function stopped, and then, oh, okay, I guess I don't need this. Bam! Alright. So, we don't really know, I guess, what would have been the repercussions there for Yammy releasing his Zanpakuto in the middle of Karakura Town. It might have not have been the exact same release we see later in the story, because something that Yammy also mentions about what makes him kind of special amongst the Espada is that he's able to accumulate power through eating and also just by storing it. So not being very active, kind of just taking up the act of sloth and gluttony and just eating a lot and just not moving, he could store up his spiritual power. And we know this because when he arrives to fight against Chad and Renji and Rukia during the, Huecamundo arc later on, he's way bigger. Chad even mentions, he's like, yeah, wow, when I ran into this guy at the World of the Living, I remember him being a pretty big dude, but this is ridiculous. This guy's like giant now. He's huge. And so then he releases his Zanpakuto and the whole thing like explodes into this giant death centipede. Alright. So, what's the dealio with Yammyo? Okay, Yammyo is now a part of a complete breakfast, kids. Alright, so remember back when the Espada were first explained to us? They were explained to us by Xiaolong Kufeng, who was wrong card number 11. He was one of Grimmjow's Fraxion, and, he releases his Zanpakuto Teherita, Snip Teherita, against Toshiro Hitsugaya. And Hitsugaya was getting beat down pretty bad, but, he announces himself as like, I am a Rancor Undecimo, number 11. And Toshiro is like, hey, since you're gonna, kill me anyway, what does that number mean? The number 11, does that mean you're the 11th strongest? Is it like a rank in the military? What does that 11 mean? And, Xiaolong was nice enough to explain it. He's just like, yes, well, you see, that number actually denotes our birth order, not our strength. So number 11 means I was actually the first Arrancar to be created with Aizen's new, Hogyoku method. However, that only goes for, Arrancar that are 11 and, a higher number than 11. For numbers that are lower than 11, and Xiaolong even directly says from 1 to 10, that is the number that denotes the Espada. And that number denotes, like, power levels. So 1 being the strongest, 10 being the weakest. Xiaolong actually says 1 to 10. Alright? And then later on, way later on in the story, Yammy, he's, fighting against Chad and everybody, and they're all looking at his number, and he's number 10. And so Renji's kind of like, he's like, okay, guys, listen up. I know we've all probably fought against some Espada before. I'm not even going to ask what happened to you. I didn't really do so hot either. But the point is, the Espada are from 1 to 10. according to our intel that we got from number 11, and this guy right here, he's the weakest out of all of them. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a Espada that could really kick our ass, but if we all pull our energy together, you know, me, Chad, Rukia, we all work together, we might actually be able to take this guy down, okay, because he's the absolute weakest. Yammy is insulted by this, and he's like, what? Who are you calling weak? Did some asshole tell you that Espadas are 1 to 10? Well, I'll show you something, you little piss ants. Enrage! Era! Boom! And he literally unsheaths his sword, and it's like pyrotechnics go off, like, and just like a giant explosion, and he turns into the Death Centipede. Well, his lower half is this huge centipede, and then his upper half is just like, you know, a professional wrestler. Okay, he's ready to go. He's got extra armor on his face, his hollow mask expands, and more importantly, his hollow tattoo changes, the 1 disappears, and now he's just Espada 0. Espada Cero Espada! Yammy Llargo! Alright? And he looks down on everybody, and they're all just, like, about having a panic attack right now. Like, you're really big. And Yammy's like, did somebody tell you that the Espadas were numbered from 1 to 10? Actually, yes, there was a wrong car number 11, Xiaolong Kufa. Well, whatever, there's 0 to 9 now, let's go! So, I don't know, that you might, hey, maybe Xiaolong didn't know his shit. Maybe he didn't know anything. Maybe he was just making it up. Maybe Xiaolong didn't read the memo. He just assumed. You know, who knows, right? But whatever. So this is how we're actually doing this. The big question is now, alright, so is 10 still an Espada number? Because according to what Yammy said, it isn't. It's 0 to 9 are the Espada numbers. So does that mean that Yammy was the first Espada, no, not the first Espada, the first Arrancar born with the Hogyoku method? So it's like 10, then 11, then 12, then 13. Grimmjow was number 12 before he got promoted. So, is that how it works? Or are the Espada really numbered 0 to 10? It's just that Yammy occupies 2 spaces. Little bit confusing, I admit, but the whole point of this is, I'll tell you what the point of this is, okay. How many people in here were actually reading these chapters, like the Arrancar, Hueco Fate Karakura arc, when they were actually coming out, like, weekly? I started reading manga weekly when I was a sophomore in high school, so like 2009-ish, 2008, 2009-ish. This was right around the time the Fate Karakura Town arc was just getting started. Like, the initial battles were getting started with the lieutenants and the Fraction and everybody. That's when I started reading this series weekly, okay. And so, I remember, though, thinking, like, man, where's Yammy at? You know, because I kind of went back and I read some other chapters and I was watching the anime at the time. And I'm like, man, where's Yammy? He was just, I guess, somewhere in Las Noches, just doing stuff. You know, all the other fights are going on. Byakuya fights Zomori, kills him. Renji and Uryu fight against Sailaporo. Then Mayori shows up, kills him. And Kenpachi kills Noitara. And then the whole thing with Nell happens. That's going on at the same time. Ichigo's fighting Ukiura. And then that's finally when Yammy finally shows back up. He's like, what? Where were you this entire time? And like the entire time, I guess he was just in his room eating chicken. Just like, oh, I'm just eating. Alright. There's a lot of noise going on out there. I guess I should see what the hell's going on. Come on, dog. Yeah, Yammy's got a little dog. It's Kukapuro! Come on, everybody loves Kukapuro. Kukapuro is Arrancar number 35. Doesn't really seem to have any special abilities other than just being a dog. But it's a Arrancar dog, so that dog is way stronger than your average dog. We don't ever get to see Kukapuro do anything like charge a Sero or a Bala or actually fight. He's more of just like, Yammy's little companion, okay? Because Yammy is like this. Honestly, it does seem a little bit sad from Yammy's perspective because none of the other Espadas seem to like him too much. Like, Ukiura talks to him, but that's more of just like, we're part of the same organization, you're my co-worker, so I have to talk to you and I have to interact with you. None of the other Espada really deal with him that much. Even when Stark was, like, about to die, and Stark was so grateful to Aizen, I'm like, thank you, Aizen, for rescuing me from my loneliness. You gave me something I thought I could never have. Companions. And like the last thing that Stark remembers is all of the Espada in front of him except for Yammy. Now you could say because Stark was number 1 and Yammy was number 0, the way that they're laid out here obviously is like, so Baragon and Haribel are the closest to Stark, and then Aranyero's number 9, so they're like, the numbers, as the numbers go up, they get further and further away from Stark, so maybe Yammy was behind Stark in this like image. But no, I like to think that Stark just didn't even like Yammy. Just like, oh, thank you, Lord Aizen, for giving me so many companions, except for Yammy. Screw that guy, he's an asshole. So, I think what Kubo was really going with here was like, all right, I haven't shown Yammy in so long, and we've had all these other fights with the Espada. Yammy's fight's gonna, all the fans, all the people reading the manga are gonna think, oh man, Yammy's fight's gonna be super boring, because we're already getting the fights with the top 3 Espada. We already had the fight with Ichigo and Ukiura, and Grimmjow as well. Yammy's number 10. This is gonna be a cakewalk. Yammy shows up, he's like, hey guys, I'm here, and then it's gonna take like one attack from Ichigo to kill him, and then that's gonna be it. That's when Kubo is like, no, actually, he's really gonna be the strongest. Yeah! I mean, I don't know. There's probably people out there that think, you know, like, Yammy is like, you know, the best Espada. Like, oh, yeah, Yammy's my favorite character. I'm sure they exist. I've never met any of them, but I'm sure they exist. That people out there actually say, I love Yammy. But, yeah, I think a lot of people were maybe a little, maybe not, like, angry at that, but they were a little, like, really, Kubo? Really? That's how we're doing this? I mean, it's awesome. I'll give it to you. That moment where he unsheaths the sword and he explodes into the giant death centipede. That was cool. I'll give you that. But it just seems like, oh, wow, that kind of got pulled out of nowhere. It's almost like you just kind of came up with that on the 11th hour. But all right, fine. So he is the strongest Espada. But what does that actually mean? Strongest Espada? I personally think it just means strongest in terms of just raw physical power and just raw Ryatsu output. But when it comes to like very unique, very specific techniques and intelligence and tactics and speed and things of that nature, he's not the strongest. You know, I like to think in terms of like, you know, Baragon's Respira or Ukiura's power set and his healing ability. In certain other categories, yeah, Yammy's not the absolute end-all be-all strongest. But it's just that he could store a lot of Ryatsu into himself, he can eat to get bigger and stronger, and then when he releases his sword, all of his rage that he feels, so the angrier he gets, the more, you know, powerful he becomes in that, like, raw energy state. And even after he releases his form into the Deathpede, he could still get even more pissed off to become the Death Gorilla! Ook, ook! Yeah, so, do gorillas go ook, ook? Probably not. I don't think gorillas go ook, ook. But still, I mean, like, he could become this. Something so ridiculously massive itself, it's like skirting the ceiling of Las Noches. So yeah, now, you might be a little bit like, you know, really, we're going with that, but at the same time, Yammy's fight still isn't, like, prevalent. It's not like, I think what Kubo was just doing is like, alright, I need somebody in Las Noches in Hueco Mundo to put up a fight against, like, Byakuya and Kenpachi. Because you figure, if Yammy was really just weak as a number 10 Espada, like, if he was just the weakest, you know, Byakuya, Kenpachi, Ichigo show up, they just shing, 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 that would probably be overkill, honestly, to just take him out, right? So, after he's defeated, there's nobody else to guard Las Noches. The Akikiyas have been defeated, you know, with the, Rudabol and Charlotte, he was defeated. So who the hell else is to defend it? Meaning that Ichigo, Unohana, Kenpachi, Byakuya, Mayuri, maybe not Mayuri, because Mayuri would have wanted to stay behind anyway to, like, you know, experiment more, maybe in Hueco Mundo and learn some more stuff. But certainly Chad, Rukia, Renji, Uryu, they would have all, maybe not Uryu, because he was missing a hand, but everybody would have just returned back to the world of the living and helped out in the fight with Fake Karakura Town. So then you'd have, like, you know, Byakuya, Kenpachi, everybody showing up to fight against Aizen, which, that would have been cool to see, too. But I think Kubo, you know, I definitely want to keep these guys in Hueco Mundo and keep them kind of preoccupied. Oh, man, how am I going to do that? Yammy's number 0 now. He's the strongest. He's going to fight against them, but I'm still not going to show his fight because I'm going to show the Fake Karakura Town fight. But that's the reason why Byakuya and Kenpachi can't come to the world of the living and help out Ichigo and the other captains. That's the reason, because Yammy's big and mad. Alright, so we'll go with that. Fine, okay. So, yeah, we only get to see fragments of that fight. More or less, it's like Byakuya and Kenpachi just fighting and arguing with each other, and just, like, Yammy's in the background, like, hey, stop ignoring me! He's like, get out of the way, idiot! And they just attack him. He's like, oh, no! You know, and then finally he gets so pissed off he turns into the Death Gorilla, and then is like, oh man, alright, I guess we got a real fight on our hands here. And then cut to the end of the war, after Ichigo goes Mugetsu, you know, final gets a Getensho, Shing, slices Aizen in half, Uehara shows up, pip pip cheerio, seals him up in a giant cross. We cut to Kenpachi and Byakuya arriving back from Hueco Mundo, and they're like, oh, Captain, how did the fights go? Were they intense? And Kenpachi's like, oh, yeah. they weren't that much fun. And so we cut to see Yammy. He's missing an arm again. He keeps getting his arm lopped off. And he's lying in the desert. His giant hulking body's like cuts all over himself. And he's like, well, damn it. Guess I'm dead. And then Kukapuro is off to the side, like his only companion. The only living thing that actually cared about Yammy in any meaningful way is next to him. He's like, bark, bark, bark. And Yammy's like, oh, you stupid dog. Yammy is Eustace from Courage the Cowardly Dog. I just got that. He's like, you stupid dog, and he's powered by rage. That's Eustace Bag from Courage. Exactly, man. Okay, I got it now. Eustace died, and then he became Yammy Llargo. Yeah, that makes total sense now when you actually think about it. All right, yeah, okay. So, yeah, then, well, what happens to Yammy? Well, he dies. Yeah, that's it. He dies. He's just like, you stupid dog. Yeah, he's dead. Not very much of an intricate, complex character, I have to say. He did have some shining moments. You know, we got to see some pretty powerful Seros from him, especially when he went into his final form there. Little bit of a little thing there they changed in the anime. I remember when, like, I first read that chapter, Yammy charged up a black Sero, like a Sero Osculus, and, you know, Ukiura said, like, this is the Espada Sero Osculus, so it made sense that he could do it too, Yammy could, so he charges up a Sero Osculus. In the anime, they changed it to just a plain old vanilla red Sero, but I'm assuming he could do Sero Osculus if he really wanted to, and then he also was the first person to show off what a Bala was, you know, when he went to the world living the second time. Oh yeah, I forgot about that, yeah, there was another time Yammy showed up, yeah, he showed up second time with Wanderweiss and Loopy and everybody. Yeah, Yammy was there too. Yeah, that's the thing about Yammy, man. Yeah, you don't exactly remember everything about him. You just remember he was really big and muscly and he screamed a lot. You remember that. And he lost his arm quite a bit too. Yeah, that's the other time he showed up. But anyway, yeah, he showed everybody what a Bala was. Like, this is like a Sero, but it's 20 times faster, but not as strong. And then, you know, he just spams that against Urahara. Urahara's like, all right, you've been spamming that attack at me all day. I've analyzed it and already wrote it home. You can't hurt me with that technique anymore. You know, he just pissed off, you know, Yammy even more so by doing those little inflatable gi guys and everything. So yeah, that was kind of a funny fight. Probably the most unique ability we've ever seen from Yammy. He had an ability called Gonzui, or Soul Suck, or Soul Inhalation. When he first arrived at Karakura Town, he used this ability to, like, suck out all of the souls within, like, a 5-block radius of, like, where they landed. And so the souls were like, ugh! Like, he just killed, like, a shit ton of people like that. You know, he's just like, Soul Suck! And then he's like, those souls tasted like crap. And he's like, Ukiura's like, well, what did you expect? They were just like plain old, you know, human souls. And Tatsuki was able to resist. So even somebody with just a little bit of soul presence would be able to resist the attack. But yeah, that was the most unique thing we ever really got with Yammy beyond Bala, Sero, Herio, you know, that kind of stuff. I would have liked to see the battle in full scope there, but according to Kenpachi and Byakuya, it really wasn't anything to write home about. I don't think they were lying. I think it was just like, yeah, he was really big, so it made him a bigger target. It was just annoying, because he's one of those bosses, like, I'm sure we've ever had to, you know, fight against those in video games and stuff. You ever have to fight a boss that's like, all right, this guy is ridiculously powerful, he's got a crap ton of HP, but then you figure out the trick, like, maybe you could just, like, circle strafe around the boss, just keep doing this. It's like, alright, he's got, like, 10,000 HP, but if I just keep doing this over and 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 over, pause, drink Mountain Dew, God, my hand is, alright, click, and over, and just repeat that for about 15 minutes, and then finally the boss is like, oh, and then dies. I think we've all been there before. That was Yammy. He was the tanky kind of guy, had a crap ton of HP, but eventually you just, you know, through trial and error, and just, you keep persistent, and just keeps hammering him with Senbon Sakura. Kenpachi just keeps hitting him with freaking Nozarashi, and he eventually drops. It just takes forever. That was probably the fight. It was more annoying than anything for Kenpachi, rather than a real fight. It's like, well, you're really big and you're kind of strong, but I like the praying mantis guy better than you. He had more heart, you know? Yeah, especially since Yammy had the gall. He had the freaking gall to be like, you know, he was fighting Ichigo, and he's like, yeah, Ukiura, Grimmjow, Noitaro, I'm stronger than all those guys. I'm like, Yeah, you might be technically stronger, but are you more interesting than those guys? The answer is no, Yammy. The answer is no. So yeah, I guess he could have gotten some more released forms. I mean, if he got angrier and angrier and angrier, maybe Byakuya and Kenpachi just like made him like his rage broke. He's like getting madder and madder, and it just gets to a point where it crescendos and like, I don't feel it. Just circles back around again. I don't feel right, and then that's how he does. Can't Fear Your Own World. We did get some artwork there when he fuses with the Hogyoku. That looks pretty cool. And he looks massive here, just like, I don't know if it's like the canyon in the background, like that's supposed to be like something really massive, like it's the Grand Canyon or something, and Yammy is just this freaking big, but he's huge, he's got the giant spikes coming out of him, he's got like a black moon thing behind him, which would be like the raging sun that fuels him, he's got a giant horn jutting out of him covered in flames, and like magma, he's like freaking like primal evolved Groudon from Omega Sun and Omega Moon, wait. I'm mixing up my Pokemon games. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. There we go. Omega Sun! You know, let's not go back to Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon were kind of weaker Pokemon games in my opinion, but, you know, Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, those are pretty cool. I like those ones, yeah. So he's like Primal Groudon there. Pretty damn cool guy. I mean, like that, it's cool. Kind of reminds me a little bit, because there's like, you know, he's not the only character like that. Like, the madder I get, the stronger I become! You know, but there's characters that have done that better, like Yuppie from Hunter x Hunter. The way it was handled with Yuppie, though, was like way better, because yeah, at original you look at Yuppie and you'd think, man, this guy is just going to be the really mad musclehead, but throughout the fight in the Chimera Antarc, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the way that Togashi handles Yuppie's power and the way he learns how to, you know, handle it is completely different than what you would originally expect, and it was a beautiful, you know, way of writing that character that Togashi did. And in Kubo's case, it was just more simple. It was definitely one of the Espada that just like, alright, I'm gonna have a lot of interesting Espada, but then there's gonna be a few that are just kind of like, eh. And Yammy was one of the ones that was just kind of like, eh. You know, so yeah. But anyway, next time we're gonna cut into a Espada that most certainly you cannot call boring. Not tomorrow, but next time, we will be talking about Espada number 8, Sile Aporo Grants. And then maybe after that, we'll talk about Yuppie if we have time. Alright, anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Tekking signing out. Roar! I'm sorry, Barry. I'm sorry, Barry. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was just for the video, Barry. I didn't mean to. I'm gonna put you... Sorry. Sorry, buddy. Okay, you good? You good? I'm sorry. I won't do it again, buddy. I won't do it again.